Good morning. My name is Caitlin Watts. I am the Client Services Manager here at Mainer. Aaron is with Insight Software, and he will be doing our presentation today. He is an actual great presenter, and we are really looking forward to Jet Reports and learning a little bit more and sharing that with everyone. Aaron, go ahead and take it from here.
All right, thanks Caitlin. Thanks for the Mainer team for having me. Today, we're going to be looking into how we can use Jet Reports to help unlock your Business Central data. And we'll also touch on how it can be useful, if you're on GP, you're still there and you're looking for a little bit more support in your reporting needs, Jet will be able to deliver in that capacity as well. But really, we're going to be anchoring this discussion around Business Central since that's on front of mind for a lot of people these days. And so kind of the roadmap today. I'll give a quick introduction as to who we are, a little bit into our background, and then we'll get into kind of the new reporting reality, why folks are looking for a more dynamic reporting solution, why they need more nimble reporting, and ways to quickly get that information into the hands of users. We'll be looking at how we can design live reporting directly out of Business Central or GP to make sure that you can unlock all of your data you have in your ERP. And then we'll also touch briefly on how Jet Analytics can help prepare you to move to Business Central or also just future-proof your data as a whole. But the goal here today, we're going to help unlock faster reporting and more streamlined distribution of those so you can make sure that your organization has the information in the hands of users when and where it needs to. My name is Aaron Strong. I'm a senior channel manager here at Insight Software. I've been working with the Jet product line for coming up on 5 years now, and I'm very excited to kind of show what we can do, working with a lot of close customers and great partners like the folks at Mainer here. Insight Software. Jet is part of the Insight Software family. We've been working with Insight Software for a little over 2 years now. Insight Software as a whole, the focus is really on serving the office of the CFO. They have a whole suite of dedicated financial tools for reporting, planning, tax purposes, and Jet is what their offering is for the dynamic space. Now, you may have heard of Jet under the name of the organization Jet Reports, and that's because Jet's been in the dynamic space for nearly 20 years. Our sole focus in the dynamic space has been to help those users unlock their ERP data. So what we're going to be looking at today, we have some customized functions and specifically tailored to Business Central to make sure that that data is easy to work with and that you can report how you want your data to be presented and make use of all the great functionality that you have inside of Business Central. The same holds true for folks on GP. We have a customized version for that as well, where it's specifically tailored to help make the GP data easier to work with, help navigate across the different tables and fields, and add any data from third-party add-ons that you may have as well. And so let's just kind of jump in. We'll be looking at a few different solutions here, but I want to set the stage and understand what the reality is organizations are looking to address with their reporting today. The conditions we've been dealing with the last year have caused a lot of organizations to move remotely. A lot of folks are continuing to do so today. And so it's important that we can enable communication across broadly distributed teams. And so we want to make sure that we can get into the hands of users wherever they're located, real-time data, the ability to see updated data in a quicker cadence, and making sure they can also drill down into that to get into any supporting data, help get information that's going to help drive better decisions for their organization. So we'll be looking at a few different approaches we can take to how we can empower users with more data, automatically distribute this information to those users, and also enable folks to be able to do more ad hoc and what-if scenario planning as they're looking at their data and they want to see it from a few different angles. And so what we're going to focus on today, we're going to be really diving into Jet Reports. If you're not familiar with Jet Reports, this is a live real-time reporting solution. So there's no intermediary step like a data mart. We're plugged directly into Business Central. The same would hold true for GP. And we have custom connectors developed for those ERPs to help make sure that you can pull data from any table, any field, any view. That means your extensions in Business Central, your third-party add-ons in GP. We're going to make sure you can utilize all of that data, and we're going to give you the power to do so directly inside of Excel. This means we're going to eliminate those manual processes, no more copy and pasting, dumping into Excel and then having to manually manipulate. And because we're able to tie in Excel functionality like formulas, charts and graphs, conditional formatting, it's not something that's designed to require hard coding or programming knowledge. This is meant to empower finance teams to be able to design their own reports and not have to rely on IT. And so we're going to be looking at a few different examples of not only how we can build financial reporting, but also how we can get into some of that operational data, model it the way we want, and deploy it to our users to make sure that they can take advantage of that data and help drive better decisions for your organization. And so let's just jump right in. I have a pre-built report pulled open right here. One of the ways that we help enable quick deployment to your ERP is that we have a whole library of pre-built reports built with Jet. And there's nearly 100 for Business Central, and there's over 50 for GP. And these reports are available right out of the box. You'll see a wide variety of different formatting types, so different variations of all your major financial statements, as well as operational reporting. So if you're tracking order details, inventory, AP, AR, we're going to have pre-built reports ready that can be plug and play to help you quickly start building out your library reports. Now, this is one that we developed in the last year. As you can imagine, more nimble cash flow reporting has been a priority for a lot of organizations lately. And let's just use this as an example to understand kind of how these Jet reports function. You see we're in Excel. We have a Jet ribbon here that's going to give us a wide range of options to refresh reports, drill into the detail, different tools with different functions to allow you to pull data and model it inside of Excel. And then we'll also look at ways we can tap into distribution. So if we need to get these hands into users, even if they're not at one location, maybe they're spread out across the country, we can make sure that we have those reports in the hands of those users with relevant data for them. And really the idea behind how these Jet reports function is that once they're built out, once they're tied to your data, you're going to be able to refresh these reports anytime you want. These report options are a really helpful way to allow users to slice and dice the data. So if you're typically seeing folks coming to you wanting to see a report broken out this way, that way, and the other, this can be a handy way to give them the ability to view the data from a few different angles without having to go back and modify the report and change things. Like here, they can pick what dates they want to run this from, what periods they want to report across, and even extend the range of those. Like maybe we want to look at this over the course of a full quarter. And then we can run the report based on that criteria. It queries the live database and pulls back that information directly inside of Excel for us. So you notice our columns extend out, our charts and graphs populate. Jet's going to keep as much of your existing formatting in place and tie in all that Excel functionality. So you're not just extracting data, you're getting to calculate values you're looking for, and you're having the look and feel that you can feel comfortable sending out and getting in front of boards, external users, anyone in your organization that wants to view this information. And the whole idea on how these pre-built reports operate, and we'll be diving in to build some of these from scratch as well, but if I just hop over into design mode, the whole general idea is you're going to have one column where these are all cell referenced, and so it's just tying into your account codes. So you would just be plugging in the appropriate accounts that are relevant for your organization. Like a lot of folks don't use depreciation in their cash flows. So it's just a matter of updating this one column to point to the correct accounts. And at this point, this report is ready to be saved, distributed. Users are going to be able to refresh it as needed. And that report is built tied to your data. So it can become really easy for organizations to take these reports, quickly customize them, tie them to your GL, and then you're ready to go. And just to highlight the range of these, I pulled open a couple other of these. Here's one where we can pull in your actuals, and then also you notice we're going to bring in budget data when we haven't closed the books, so that way you can keep track of your rolling forecast, you can add your variance and projections. This one would have the same idea where it has some report options out of the gate for us, so being able to pick our start date, It's very common. You'll see that your global dimensions are going to be readily available as well. And the whole customizing of this would just be done updating the accounts within this column as well. And of course, Business Central is the main focus, but we have GP users covered as well. Here's an income statement where we can view things consolidated along with a previous year to date, and then we can even see these broken out with a different segment on each sheet. So if you're targeting departmental reports, you want to be able to easily break things out across your segments, just like Global Dimensions with Business Central, readily available to do with JET. And we'll be looking at, in just a sec here, some custom functions specifically tailored to help make that GL data easier to work with. And so with that in mind, let's open up a new workbook and let's build out some data from scratch. So I'm connected into Business Central here. You see I have the full JET ribbon available to me. And we'll look at a handful of these different functions. As I mentioned, they all serve different purposes. Like the report wizard will just ask you some questions and then build a report for you. Really useful for ad hoc reporting. The browser gives you simple drag and drop off of any table in your ERP. And then we also have more granular tools we'll look at. So if there's a very specific way you're looking to format a report, you'll be able to accomplish that with these. But for a lot of folks, when they're turning to a new reporting solution, when they're implementing a new ERP, ease of use is the name of the game, and this fast financials tool is extremely well suited for it. When I open this up, it's actually giving me a live view back into my general ledger, so I can see my accounts, I can see what values I have for my balance totals. If I want to pull in budget, have it calculate variance, I can have that done for me on the fly. And then say I want to bring some of this data in, like I want to do a quick P&L. I can go ahead and scroll down through here and see our revenue accounts. I'll just grab this range here. I can just shift click to select it all. And we can actually just drag and drop it into Excel right here. And it's going to model the data as it's set up in this view here. And then we can keep going, grab our cost of goods. We'll scroll through, we'll grab our expense accounts as well. I'll just go ahead and grab the whole range. We'll keep this one real simple. We'll grab this whole range of data and I'll just drag and drop it into the report. And so it's pulling the data back from the ERP. It's modeling it for us inside of Excel, giving us the formatting that we had right here. And then if I want to go ahead and run this report, I'll just format the header real quick. It also built some report options for me out of the gate. So again, this is how we can allow our end users that maybe they're not going to be writing these reports, but we want them to be able to slice and dice the data a bit. This is how we can do so. So you notice once again, we're very quickly automatically pulling in your global dimensions. We also allow consolidated reporting across multiple companies. And this is something we can do both in Business Central and GP as well. In fact, our GP connector automatically allows you to pull reporting across those multiple companies, even if they're in different databases. So we'll have you covered there as well. Maybe we want to filter in this case, we really just want to target a couple specific customer groups, like maybe I'm just looking for my small and medium customers. I can run this report based on that filter criteria. We'll see the data here update automatically. And then maybe we want to drill into this, make sure that we do in fact just have transactions from our small and medium customers. This arrow here will tell you there's drill down detail. We're also going to be able to hit it up here. And there's a couple formats that we can use for setting up our drill down. I personally operate on a lot of different ERPs, report off of a lot of different databases. So I have mine opening up in a grid view. This is how you would see it in GP as well. With Business Central, we can actually have it open up inside of BC's transaction view. So that way you can navigate to the supporting documents if you want to view an invoice or order detail. It can be really helpful to view the data there. But even within here in this grid view, we can do quite a bit of analysis. Like if I wanted to take that customer grouping, break those out, we can confirm, yep, we're just seeing transactions for those small and medium customers. So drill downs showing that filter we ran. And then if we need to look for a specific posting date, if we're trying to look for a specific document, you can filter the data down, organize it the way you want. And you can even drop it back into Excel if you want to do additional analysis on it. So that drill down is going to be real handy. We're always going to make sure you're able to get into that transactional detail so you can confirm that the data you need is there. It's pulling in the detail. Now, this was pretty quick and easy to set up and just drop this data in, but one of the real strengths in Jet is how easy it also is to modify reports. And that's because it leans on a lot of Excel functionality, including things like cell referencing. Like, for example, here, all these functions, these are live functions directly inside of Excel. So anytime Jet's returning data, it's going to give you a formula. It means you can tie their Excel functionality to it. It means you can update those queries. And so say we want to break this out month over month. I can just duplicate these columns over, and I can start plugging in whatever values I'm looking for here in these date ranges. And I'm going to go ahead and just hard code these in for simplicity's sake, but you could also have them, grab current date next month. You can use your Excel functions to pull in the relevant dates for your organization as well. And then, maybe over here, maybe we want to do a year-to-date, previous year-to-date comparison. Again, just as simple as plugging in these updated values. And you see that we can update this report more or less using Excel functionality to get the look and feel we want, to add additional nuance to the information we're presenting. Yeah. And so I mentioned these are all formulas inside of Excel. Let's look at that in a little more detail. I'm going to actually open up and we'll do another example where we're a little more particular with how we want to structure the data. Because admittedly, the last example, very quick and easy to bring your data in, great for reporting on the fly, quick ad hoc analysis, but you're also going to have reports inevitably where you have a formatting in mind and you want Jet to fit the data to that formatting. This is a good example of that. You can see, once again, we're looking at P&L, but this time we're going to be consolidating across multiple companies. And you can see we have some accounts set up on the side as to what we want to pull from. So in this case, rather than go to the Fast Financials tool, I'm going to go to the function that ultimately wrote everything in, which is this GL function. When you open this up, you see it's basically just a simple set of questions users can work through to determine what data they want to bring in and how they want that data presented. And I'm in Business Central again, but this will look very similar if you're in GP. You'll still see your accounts. You'll have an option to, you can grab individual accounts. You can grab ranges of accounts. So if you want a custom grouping that rolls up to a single line, you can do so. You can also exclude specific accounts. With GP, we're also going to allow you to pull across your categories as well, which can be really useful. And then global dimensions, we're going to make sure those are available to you. Same with your segments and GP. And then if you're looking at Business Central and you're expecting to have more than just the global dimensions, you would just point at the analysis view and you could access all the shortcut dimensions as well. So we're going to make sure that that dimensionality, it's really important of how way users like to break up their data in Business Central. We're going to make sure that's as easy as possible for you. And so if we're thinking about how we can kind of start putting this data together and answering these questions, you may have noticed a lot of what we would be looking for is actually in our formatting of the report already. So like, what do I want to grab? Well, I want the balance. So I'll just go ahead and cell reference to tie to that. Same idea with the accounts. We already have them coded across the side here. So let's go ahead and just cell reference to tie to that. We can do the same idea for the start and end date. And then if we want to break things out across companies, we can also go ahead and tie to that. And if I hit OK, it's going to show us the initial value here so we can see that it's written correctly. It's returning data. If we need to flip the sign, not a problem. These are, again, formulas inside of Excel. So I can just stick a minus there. And then now, since we use cell referencing here, I can actually drag and drop this one formula across the rest of this report to populate my data. And we can just copy paste, drag and drop this down. And then for the consolidation, I mean, we'll do a real simple, just total these. So nothing too complicated here, but it is worth noting, any kind of Excel functionality you want to build into it, these formulas, tying charts and graphs to us, those will update when the JET data updates as well. So you can have, calculations and metrics that update seamlessly when you refresh the data. And so we were able to put this together in very short order. And not only that, we've set it up so it's going to be very easy for us to modify. Like if I need to change which dates we're pulling from, I can just update that right here, and you'll see all this cache data update globally. If you need to change the accounts, just like with those sample reports, you can just plug in a new value here, and you notice those match up. And this kind of functionality can be really useful as well if you're planning to break these out across departments or dimensions. I could have also added a cell reference here where we're going to say, this is going to be for department A, and I could just basically change the value in that one cell to batch out different versions for each department. So there's a lot of ways where you can have different formatting in place to accomplish the certain look and feel of the report you're looking for. A similar example would be, we can also use things like replicators, where this is basically a report. And again, this is one of our pre-built ones that says, hey, let's just create a new column for each dimension value. So building reports with something like this in mind would mean you add new dimension values, you update that. When you refresh the report, it's going to seamlessly extend these columns, add in those new dimensions as you're adding those in the ERP. So there's a lot of ways where these reports can be designed to quickly batch processes out, replicate data across sheets, across columns. You want to report with each department or each company on a different sheet, you can set that up as well with JET. But the whole idea is that you can create these reports that are going to update dynamically as your data updates, as you add new accounts, you add new dimensions, and those seamlessly get integrated into these reports. And so some different approaches we can take, but hopefully getting a feel that JET has very tailored functions, very well suited for you to work with your GL data and be able to present it in the format that makes sense for your organization, and then get it out in the hands of those users. Now, talking about distribution, we've already seen that we can refresh reports out of Excel. If there's filter options, we can slice and dice that data. There's also ways where we can automate the distribution of these reports. We have a scheduler here where we can sync together with your Outlook to set up email distributions of these reports. And this can be handy as well if you have external users or maybe folks that they don't need to refresh the data, they just need a static report. You could set up an automated distribution where first of each month, first of each week, those reports will go out as value-only workbooks or PDFs. So you can also provide users with a lockdown version of the report that's going to distribute to them on a regular cadence. And then for those users who are going to be refreshing reports or drilling down into the detail, it's worth noting that we're going to honor your Business Central security with those users. So users aren't going to be able to access any tables or fields that they don't have permissions for in your ERP. That holds true with GP as well. It holds true with really any system that you may be looking to pull data from with JET. We understand governance and control of that data is an important thing, so we're going to make sure that that's tightly integrated with your ERP. That way you can feel confident that users are able to get the data they need and only the data they need. And so we've been covering some good ground on the financial reporting piece, but let's look at how we can also make sure you can access your operational detail. And there's a handful of different ways we can do this. For a lot of folks, this report wizard is going to be the quickest and easiest way to generate new operational reports on the fly. What it does is it's really just going to walk us through the design of the report by asking us some questions, and then it'll actually build the report for us. So I can come into here, select which table I want to pull from. Maybe we want to put together some quick vendor information. Next, it'll bring me into this view where I can see all the fields within that table, and I can just start selecting which ones I want to see. So we'll probably want the vendor number. Let's get the name. Let's get the address, the city, the state, And then we're probably going to also want to get some balance information on them. And maybe we also want to make sure we can break this out across posting groups. And then I have them in the order I think I want, but you can drag and drop these to set up the column order how you see fit. Next, we can add filters to this. So maybe we want to be able to filter by posting group. The whole idea with these, we could set this as the North America filter and just say this is going to be our North America vendor report. Or I could set it as a wildcard, and we can actually just let the user choose when they run the report. Jet will build it in as a report option for them. Next, we can add grouping. We'll just group these by state. We'll go ahead and sort them by balance descending. And then finally, it's going to give us a chance. Do we want to add totals? Do we want to see balance? Do we want to add Excel formatting and grouping? And then if that all looks good, we'll have a chance to review. And then if this aligns with what we were trying to do, we can hit finish. Jet's going to write the report for us. So now I can just go back up into the Jet ribbon, hit run. Here's my filter option. So let's in fact run this for North America. And when we run it, you see it's going to generate our report for us using Excel's grouping. So if I want to expand these out, we can see that we have a quick and easy vendor report grouped by state with our balance totals, quick snapshot of this data. So obviously a fairly straightforward example, but this report wizard is really handy in help making sure users are able to grab the information they need out of those other tables beyond the general ledger. And then just to highlight one other way that we're going to help make that data available to you, this browser tool will actually give us a view into every table and field in our ERP. So if you're new to Business Central, or maybe you're in GP, and we all understand if we've used GP how complicated those tables can be. This gives you a really clean, easy space to navigate that data, learn where things are, look up different values. Like if we want to look into our customer field table, maybe I'm trying to get some quick customer information together. This is a really handy way to navigate it. And I can actually just grab some of the info I want. Like if I want the customer number, maybe I want their name, maybe I want their state and sales. I can just go ahead and select these and just drag and drop them into the report. And then if we want to go ahead and run this, we'll see it returns a simple list of data. Nothing too fancy, but if we want to go back, we can modify this really easily on the fly. So what's happening here is Jet has, this is a generalist Jet function. This is kind of the Swiss Army knife of the Jet ribbon. What we're doing here is we're turning data across rows, getting a new customer across each row, pulling from that customer table. But we can do a lot more with this. You can filter data as it's coming through, break out any data point in your system across rows, across columns, across sheets. You can create lookups. You can link multiple tables together. Just a lot of firepower with this. Now, what I wanted to focus on is I just wanted to use it to try to clean up that data a little bit. Like, let's filter out to make sure we're not seeing sales that have a zero balance. So we'll say, let's only see those that have sales greater than 50,000. And let's also focus on making sure they have a state tied to them too, a specific geography. I'm out of Portland, Oregon here, so I'm going to show my bias a little bit and just grab the West Coast here. And when I hit OK, we'll actually see this cache data update to reflect those changes, since this one no longer fits in that range. And when we do, there we go, city of Chicago, California, ready to go for us. And then beyond that, the whole idea with Jet, any other customization you want to do, formulas, charts, and graphs, we can build that all right into the report using Excel functionality. So maybe these folks have a margin calculation. Maybe we want to make sure we're totaling up these numbers, giving the grand total for the territory. Perhaps this is one that would look good with a chart and graph. I can just grab these columns and attach a chart to it. And finally, I can even use Jet keywords here at the top to clean up this data. Like we're hiding the formula, it's not relevant to the end user. And this fit command will automatically make the columns match the information within them. So something like this, just a couple quick changes. I can now run the report. I should see my calculations. I see my filtered data set cleans this up quite a bit for us. Our chart populates. Maybe I'm thinking I missed the mark on where that filter would be appropriate. Once you know your way around these jet functions, you're not even going to need to open up the formula wizards. You can just do it right in the formula bar here. I can just update that sales total filter. And now when we run this, you'll see the report updates. Our chart populates the same distance. You know, we have the look and feel we want. This report's ready to start sending out to users. And so hopefully this is giving you a really good idea of how Jet allows you to access all of the data in your ERP, design it to have the look and feel you want inside of Excel, and then allow those users to query that data on demand and even filter and slice and dice it without having to worry about them modifying the report, changing where it's queried. They can just do it on the fly and be on their way. And so Jet Reports, it's a fantastic solution for live real-time data. I do want to make sure folks know that if you are looking for more than that, if you're looking for a business intelligence solution, maybe you're looking to leverage data visualizations, we have you covered in that capacity as well. There's a clean upgrade from Jet Reports to Jet Analytics, where we can leverage a data warehouse in cubes to allow you to optimize your data so it's very quick to deploy. Users don't need to understand the underlying data structure, and you can tie it together with data visualization tools like Power BI. We see a lot of organizations gravitate towards this when they have data that's spread out across multiple systems. Maybe they're planning a migration and they don't want to bring all of their historical data into the new ERP, but they still want to make sure they can report against it. Or maybe they're just trying to empower operational groups outside of finance to be able to use the data and make sense of it. These are some of the ways we see folks gravitate towards a business intelligence solution. And just like Jet Reports gives a lot of customized functionality specific for Dynamics, with Analytics, we actually have a pre-built data warehouse and cubes for each of the Dynamics ERPs. So with Business Central, with Nav, with GP, we have a pre-built project that's going to get you 80 or 90% of what you're looking for here. And then we use data warehouse automation to quickly customize and tailor the data to your organization. And so this can be a really effective way to help supercharge your reporting and enable quick reporting across multiple systems. And I just like to make sure it's something folks know that is if it's on the roadmap, there's a clear path to get there with Jet. Just something that's going to be able to scale and grow with your organization. So should the need come where maybe you're implementing Business Central, you're going to leave your GP data in GP, maybe you also have a CRM you need to pull from. A scenario like that can create a pretty complicated reporting situation. Tying data across multiple systems, understanding where those tables and fields live, how they relate. But with Jet Analytics, the data is presented in plain English, so users can come in, see the information presented in the language that they would be using. And then when you're working with the data in this capacity, you don't have to worry about where that data lives, what tables are involved, how those tables relate, or even how these values are calculated, because it's all controlled in the back end. So you can just start checking the boxes on what you want to see. So like maybe we're doing a sales report, we want our sales, our cost, our profit. We also want to see those broken out across our item categories, broken out year over year, maybe split out across locations or split out across salespeople. The whole idea is that you can have calculated, modeled data that's plug and play, that's instantaneous, and that looks really effective when you're using it with pivot tables inside of Excel, or even using data visualization tools like Power BI, where you can point it at a cube and just check a couple boxes to be able to quickly put together high-level presentation dashboards like this. So for most organizations, If Business Central is going to be your core focus, Jet Reports is going to have you covered. But I'd like to make sure folks know if you're thinking of a business intelligence solution in the future, you're going to have data that's maybe a little bit more complex than the typical organization. We're going to be able to support you there as well. You bet. Thanks for having me, and everyone for joining.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon and a great holiday season coming up. Thank you so much.